So Jonathan, tell me a little bit about your business. I'm really curious. You say you do organizational leadership. What is that? What does that entail? What does that look like?
So what we do is we do two things with organizations. We do organizational leadership development, which really is help an organization figure out what its leadership development needs are, what its talent development needs are, and help them develop programs that support those needs and also their business objectives. And we'll take that from a very senior level approach all the way down to the mid level and frontline leader manager level.
Okay, and this is interesting to me because I, have only seen organizations from either a point where they've already had a lot of professional development, or they kind of got the majority of their stuff worked out, or from the level that I was trying to start at as just a consultant, and at the beginning it's just you, and there's not that many people, so you don't really have to worry about that so much. So now I'm working at a startup, but I think it's so interesting to see how what you do fits into the atmosphere and really changes the culture. I think that's great. Where'd you say your business was based out of?
We're based out of Fort Worth. We do business in the Fort Worth, Dallas area, Dallas-Fort Worth area, excuse me. And then, but we're at WeWork over in Clear Fork.
Nice. The co-working space.
Yep.
Love that. Clear Fork, too.
It's a great atmosphere.
Absolutely. And so how long have you been in business?
I've been in business since November, so about 9 months. I'm a relatively new entrepreneur.
Nice. And what kind of struggles have you been going through in this 9-month period?
Well, it's interesting. So I got out of the military, the Army, in 2015, and then did a full-time job for 2 years, where I was in the leader talent development space. But I always wanted to start my own business. Uh-huh. So it was really determining when was the right point to exit my full-time job, and I kind of just did that on a whim. Said it's time to leave. And then it was really like creating a effective business model, and finding clients. So, but it's been a journey. It's been challenging, but I really love what I'm doing.
Okay, and then organizational leadership. I'm sorry, was that something you were thinking about when you were in the military, or did you just kind of figure it out after your corporate job what you wanted to do?
In the military, I commanded two Army companies, which is considered like a small to medium-sized organization. So as a commander, I have organizational leadership experience. I also was a faculty member at West Point and taught leadership there. So I bring that experience of leading like whole organizations and that lens of developing leaders at all levels. Mm-hmm. Something I'm very passionate about, again, about the development of leaders, developing individual leaders to be their best, to lead their teams to realize their full potential, which will lead to the organization really realizing its full potential. And I've seen that through my experience. I've led some very high performing units, and in the work I've been doing since, I've seen that as well.
Nice. Okay, and you've been open for 9 months, so I know you've had an opportunity to really, or maybe had to, network in the different entrepreneurship communities in the DFW area. Have you been in Dallas doing some networking?
A little, but more on. I have an MBA from the University of Texas, Dallas, mm-hmm. So I'm tied into their alumni association and done some networking through them. But most of my networking type activities are over here on the Fort Worth side.
They're over here in Fort Worth?
Yes.
Well, what are you doing? I've been talking to everybody today about how the networking side of Fort Worth is a little skinny, and you do the majority of your networking over here. Mm-hmm. So what other kind of organizations besides IdeaWorks are you involved in and networking in?
So one, just being at WeWorks, mm-hmm. You just walk out of your office and there's huge space that's social. So there's always another business owner out there, a chance to get to know people and tell you what you're doing. So one, just there, that's led to business for me just by being in WeWork. Two, I'm a startup entrepreneur on my business side. Also, I'm part of a startup veterans group. And we run networking events once a month over at HG Supply. So very involved, and we have a lot of business community members there as well. And then just going to B&G Coffee over on Florence Street. I'm in there like 2 or 3 times a week making connections. So I just have a little circuit of things I do.
You built your little calendar around who you're going to connect with. Great, I love that. Very nice. So tell me where you see your business in the next 5 years. I mean, you're still in startup, which is great, but what's your end goal? Where are you going with this business in the next 5 years, 10 years?
So I'll give you 5 years. Right now, as I said, we're in both organizational and leadership development. On the organizational side, like consulting side, I've worked with some some small companies, mostly in the tech space. Interestingly enough, they struggle with a lot of the things that my area of expertise with leadership and team development. So small companies and also just teams, like larger organizations that bring me in to work with their teams. That's where I am now. I would like to, in the next 5 years, be working solely with like medium-sized organizations, helping them, one, redesign their organizational leadership programs, also their development programs. If they were their hiring practices, if they were trying to do a pivot, a cultural, organizational culture change, I want to be working with them to design that.
Okay. What's it like to be a veteran and decide to go into entrepreneurship?
It's
'Cause I feel like
exciting.
we're in two different worlds.
It is. Well, there's some similarities in the Army. I was in the Army, so there's an entrepreneurship in the Army. Being went to Iraq and Afghanistan. I also was in Korea, and in those experiences, you never have all the resources you need. You're fiscally constrained, and you have to be very innovative. And so there's like entrepreneurial spirit. I know my soldiers would come up with really cool ways to solve our problems, and we'd overcome them. So there's that spirit of always having to be innovative, especially in combat environments. But two, it's like I was a commander in the Army. I had 2 commands, and that was my organization, it was my vision, and it was out there for me to take that organization to develop it to be its best. So as an entrepreneur, I started Bridge 3, and I see this whole business environment is a new challenge. It's like I'm in command again. So.
I love that you can connect those two and transition right into it. What kind of advice can you give to other entrepreneurs? I mean, not even just entrepreneurs, but specifically veterans that are coming from that life and making the switch. I know you didn't, go directly into it after being a veteran, but I know that is a transition for some people that they might, be afraid of or be weary to go into. What kind of advice can you give to someone that has that background?
I think so. Veterans coming out of the military, when I was coming out of the military, I knew while I was still in the military, like when I was in my MBA program, I wanted to start a business. I went to UT Dallas while I was in the Army. But on the way out, I knew that I didn't know anything about the business world, and I needed to, as much as I wanted to start my business right away, I needed to transition from the Army into the civilian world. That was where I got my full-time job. And then when I felt I was ready, I had established enough connections in the area, I launched. So to any veteran thinking about getting right into entrepreneurship, I would just say, do your research, make sure, really think about what your idea is, what service are you going to offer coming right out of the military. What problem are you going to solve that the corporate world, the nonprofit world can't solve on its own? So think about that, and I give a lot of consideration to coming out, finding a full-time job as a bridge, to use the bridge metaphor, to transition you out in the military, get you settled in the community, get to know, and then from there, network in, and then launch your idea.
I love that. What are you overly ambitious about, you think? Is it organizational leadership, or what's the core of that, really?
The core is, I love leading teams, high-performing teams. But what's rewarding to me is developing an organization, like when I was in command, to go out and they do their best. That together, it's just not me leading them. It's a team effort, and together they realize that in the working together, they realize their best. There's some award or some recognition of that excellence they've achieved. I bring that to that's what I think I bring to the business. To any organization that wants to develop its people to reach their full potential, so the organization can reach its full potential, I want to work with them, and I want to be known as the firm, the company that will do that for you. It's not McKinsey, it's not Deloitte, it's Bridge 3. 'Cause I have that experience, and I have the background doing it.
Confident. Well, we're about to wrap up here. I did want to ask you, though, in these 9 months, I know with your background, you've probably experienced your fair share of unpredictable disasters.
Yes.
What in entrepreneurship, if any, in these 9 months, any difficulties that you have experienced, or what kind of horror stories do you have maybe to tell some of our viewers?
So I was set on, so I'm going to tell you about Bridge 3.
Okay.
Bridge 3, I was wounded in Iraq on Bridge 3 as an Army officer, as a scout platoon leader. 9 of my soldiers were wounded there. So I wanted to name the company in honor of them, but also, what we achieved that night. We took a lot of, it was under very adverse conditions, but we were successful in our mission. And that's kind of, I bring the best from that to my business and what we offer organizations. But Bridge 3 itself, so I got the domain name. So bridge3.com, paid some good money for that. But then Texas has the first 2 terms of an LLC can't be the same as another company. So as I submitted for Bridge 3, I was like, okay, no one could be possibly named Bridge 3. And what do you know? There's a Bridge 3 wind sprints in Dallas. And they came back and rejected it. And to me, I was very proud. There's a human story tied to Bridge 3. And I was like, I got to have this. So anyway, it kind of derailed me for a little. But then what I ended up doing is coming up with 2. So the full name of the LLC is Choose Your Prey Bridge 3. Okay. Choose Your Prey was our unit motto in Iraq. It means always ready. So what I ended up doing is Choose Your Prey Bridge 3, submitted it that way, it went through, and then I did a DBA as Bridge 3 in Tarrant County. Nice. And so I'm Bridge 3. But that was like one of the most challenging things for me, because I really wanted to name the company after that in honor of my soldiers. And also, really as a symbol of what we bring, what we offer to organizations.
Well, you were clever enough to still get it.
Yeah.
So, good for
Adaptable, so yeah.
Well, we're going to wrap up. Thank you for coming and sharing your insight. And most of all, thank you for your service to our country.
I appreciate that. Thank you.